comes with having hair on top of your head. You got morning hair. Okay? And Jeremy was also Mr. Live Action. Okay? Several good shots of him doing different things. All right. Of course, there's a lot of good time there, but some of the best times when we're all together, at least we started together, till we started splitting up, you know. But we were together on a lot of these times, and they were very moving times. And that's when we had some folks that came down. That had to be on Thursday, and we had some other folks come and join us, and that was good. As was stated, they had these small groups, and they got together, and some of that was formal and some of it was informal. Okay, the formal is the group there on the bottom right, where that's his small group, family group, whatever you call it. These other groups that you see there were not formal groups. They were groups that they felt the need to get together and to discuss and to pray. You know, let me stop right and just leave right there. That's something that I think we have lost sight of a lot of times. When's the last time that you got together and prayed with somebody about something? This is where we had them making a cross, and we worked on that. We took several different pictures. That's one, just had them raise their hands and all, and in the form of a cross. And as we got to the end of the week, more so, or a little more, we emphasized the cross. I gotta tell y'all, that's the newest member of Rockford Baptist Church. He put those glasses on, said, "Take my picture," and now we've got a picture to hang up in the jail under the jailers over there. The next last day, we loaded them on the trailer for the ride that Jesse told you about. And then we got to the crosses, and they picked them up. And during this time, they were prepped for this in worship and talking to them about carrying your cross and what that means. And so we carried them on into the night. It was good and dark before we made to that amphitheater there. Okay. Hold right there. And then once we got there, things began to happen. Almost just spontaneous. I mean, we basically didn't even, in reality, get started. It just started.
That's right.
And we had kids that went to there was a fence there where those crosses were stood up, and we had several that went there and just knelt down and started praying, and we had others that went to pray with them, and it was a very moving time. I will tell you that we had communion there, and that's what we're doing on this bottom right. That's sort of blurry, but there wasn't a lot of light there, and I wouldn't want to use a flash because it would have taken away from what was going on. And so, but we had the opportunity, I said several of us, to have communion with everybody there, and the way we did it was we had them come down, and we had a loaf of bread, and we had juice there, and we would one-on-one with them have a Lord's Supper, and we would offer a prayer for them, and all. And I was just telling Jeff earlier today, it was the most moving and meaningful Lord's Supper I've ever been through. I had the opportunity to talk with several kids and to pray with them, some who had just accepted Christ, you know. I had the opportunity to have communion with Daniel there and to be able to tell him that, how that I appreciate him and to pray with him and what my outlook for him is in this church and for working for God. I had the opportunity to have communion with Eddie Bass there, to tell him and talk with him about some mutual things that we have that we try to work on. And lastly, when I thought most everybody was finished with communion, they were not. And so I had the opportunity to have communion with my wife.
Amen.
And it was great. And like I said, it was one of the most meaningful communions I've ever been a part of, and I think we're going to look at something along those lines here someday. When we got there, we had a lot of folks that knew about the cross. But like that cross, it was sort of fuzzy. But then, before we left, it came into focus for several folks, not just for kids. As we left, and that's always sort of a a downtime because you're leaving and you're leaving this experience. However, you know, you don't have to leave. We will always remember that, and we can draw on that. That's our group photo. I took several of them. It's hard to get one where you can see everybody and they're not all making a crazy face or some kind of something. So, but that was the group. Let's see. I think we went there with some folks who were in a position of no hope. And we probably left there with some folks in that same position. But we had some folks that moved to a position of believers.
Amen.
We had others that moved to becoming a follower. There's a difference between being a believer of Christ and being a follower of Christ.
That's right.
And we need to understand that. We need to evaluate where we're at. I think we have a lot of folks who believe. We don't have near as many who think.
That's right.
But like I said, I think we saw folks move from each one of these categories there, and therefore, I think that it was all worth it. That's the end. Okay. Thank you.